Welcome to the Moms on Maternity YouTube show and podcast. I'm Aimee Cruz, and today we have on David Mammano. David is the host of the Gonzo Experience podcast, as well as a 7-time entrepreneur, starting 7 different companies, spending time as a professor at the University of Rochester, and the author of several business books, including Crash and Learn Lessons in Business. How are you today, David?
Aimee, I was doing really well, but all of a sudden I'm doing outstanding. So thank you.
Oh, great. So you're a dad, right?
I'm a dad. I have 3 kids, 3 wonderful, crazy, roller coaster, beautiful kids. Yes.
So what is your opinion as an entrepreneur on work-life balance, parenting versus working on a business?
Well, I think it used to be easier to separate the two. My dad here in Rochester, Kodak was the main company that everybody would, your dad growing up in Rochester worked for Kodak, Xerox, or Bosch and Lomb. And my dad worked at Kodak, and, he was gone when I woke up, and he came home about 6 o'clock for dinner. And then, he had his gin and tonic, had his cigarette, and we watched TV together. Right. And he would read the paper. But for me today, it's everything is intertwined, right? Like I made my daughter eggs this morning because she said she was hungry before she went to school. My kids, constantly are like, oh, I forgot this, I forgot that. Can you drop this off at school? Can you pick me up early? Oh, I missed the bus. Can you take me to school? Like it's my life as a dad is very intertwined in, obviously work, but, intertwined during the work day, quote unquote, with my kids. And, I joke, like, I tell my daughter, like, when I was driving her the other day, I said, ask me how many times my dad brought me to school. Like 0. I have a little one, he's in 5th grade. We can go in and have lunch, until they don't want to anymore. And, how many times did my dad come in and have lunch with me? 0. How many times did my dad, drop off the homework that I left at home? 0. But he was a great dad, right? But it was just a different time. So for me in today's world, I'm texting my kids all day, right? They're calling me sometimes. It's work-life balance has become interesting, right? I think you do have to focus at work, but at the same time, I think we have to be maybe it's an elevated mindset when it comes to managing this mixed world today, right? So, remember, I think he lived in San Diego or LA. Jim Rohn, remember Jim Rohn, the motivational speaker? He had a saying, and it was "Wherever you are, be there." Now, he was big in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. He passed away, unfortunately, and his whole thing was like, when you're at work, be at work. Don't let family invade work. But when you're at home, be at home.
That's London now, though. Everyone's working from home.
I know. Now it's one big soup, right? Yeah. It's like, or when you're on vacation, be on vacation. Mm-hmm. Hello, with your smartphone, how can you be on vacation all the time, right? Too.
Especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, entrepreneur. I mean, you got to be on, right? I mean, you maybe on vacation, you're working half days, right? 12 hours a day, but
so your dad was a corporate man. It sounds like a Kodak man.
Yeah, my dad was a middle manager at Kodak. Yeah.
And so how did you run into the entrepreneurial path?
Well, I think it was in my blood. I mean, a lot of my family, my grandparents, aunt, uncles, all that, came from Sicily, and a lot of them were entrepreneurs. A lot of them, were in construction and food related businesses, and because that's what they knew, right? And so I think it was just in my blood. I think it was just like I was talking to my mom about this. I go, I think because, my dad, I had a typical Beaver Cleaver upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
We had a nice house in a nice suburb. We had dinner every night, and it was very stable. Took nice vacations, no complaints at all.
Right.
So I had no exposure to the entrepreneurial world. That being said, at age 6, I'm shoveling driveways for money in the winter. I'm washing cars in the summer. I'm cutting lawns. I have the paper route in the neighborhood. So it was like this innate fire in me. I think that
Oh,
started coming out.
are you nostalgic for that period of life? Do you feel that technology has kind of made things more complicated, or are you excited about where we are today compared to 50 years ago?
Oh, great question. There's some things I'm excited about, right? Some things are a heck of a lot easier. I do communicate with my kids a lot more than my dad did. And once again, he's a great dad that just, he couldn't text me during the day because there wasn't texting. That being said, I do think that, especially for the kids, that technology has ruined some experiences of just being able to, be alone and be bored and think and just hanging out more. That phone is always there and there's always something to do on it,
Yeah. Yeah. So 7 businesses, where are they now?
Yeah. Some have been sold. Some are no more. And so it's a variety. It's a variety. I'm really good at birthing businesses and getting into a certain level. And then either having somebody run it for me or selling it.
Are they all in completely different industries? Do you stick within a certain industry?
I did for a long time. So for the first, I'll say, 14, 15 years, I was in the education industry. So I was, most of my businesses revolved around helping high school students with their future. So, college planning, career planning, all that stuff. So, and then the whole college world, went crazy and they, it just became the education world changed a lot. And so I got out of it. And then I got into more helping entrepreneurs with their professional life and personal life. And that's what I continue to do so today.
Okay. What's the biggest challenge you see entrepreneurs facing today?
Well, I think you kind of nailed it with time, because there are so many things vying for our attention. And, I get this report now on my iPhone at the end of the week about how long I've been on my phone per day. And it says like an average of 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And I'm hoping part of that is just, when I set it down, it stays on for a while or, I don't know. But, so I
would imagine that's actually low compared to most people.
Oh, good. Well, for me, it's crazy, but yeah, I mean, imagine, spending 6, 7, 8 hours a day on your phone. Like what did we do when we didn't have phones? Like what was that time used for before? Right. So I would say, okay. And I would say focus, right? Like time and then focus, being able to say, okay, I'm going to do these 3 things today and I'm not going to do anything else until I get them done and not letting get the texting and the Facebook. Like I have, I don't get any notifications on my phone except texting and phone calls. Because if I had that with, Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and all, I would constantly be looking at my phone. Right. So I turned off all notifications and I go check out my convenience. So I would say that the biggest thing is the focus.
Okay. And what about in terms of just a stupid business mistake you performed in your past that you learned the most from?
Yeah. I would say not knowing when to stop. So my first business was a printed magazine for high school students, right? And it did very, very well for a long time. But when the digital revolution started to kick in and revenue started going down, I thought, we'll find a way to make it work. We'll keep the magazine, but we'll go online and we'll do some different things. But what I did is I kept the core model as print too long, and I kept all the people too long because this was a family. This is my work family. They helped me build the company, right? But a lot of payroll. So I kept the model and I kept the people like way too long.
Well, isn't that what happened to Kodak?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a tough thing to do because the magazine still was bringing in the core of my revenue. And, Kodak with film, they were bringing in like $4 billion a year on film, very profitable, while the world was changing like crazy. But how do you look away from that 4 billion a year to go do something else? It's very difficult,
Interesting.
And
Great,
so
great lesson learned. Great lesson learned. What are your thoughts on the 80-20 rule? What should businesses nowadays be spending 80% of their, where's 80% of their success coming from? Digital? Obviously digital, some capacity.
Well, yeah, it depends on their business. I would say it's the 20% of their customers, bringing in 80% of their revenue. Mm-hmm. They should be spending most of the time with them and asking them, number one, how are we doing for you? What could we do better? Mm-hmm. And then number two, what else do you need? What else can we do for you in this area of what we do? Mm-hmm. And just constantly getting feedback about value that we're currently delivering and other value that they may need. Because I think that's how you're going to grow the company, is by focusing on the 20% of customers making 80% of your revenue.
I love that. Okay, so back to your kids. Do you have hopes that they go a certain route in their adulthood for, what they end up working on?
Well, not specifically. My hope is that they find their God-given innate talents, right? Gifts, and they're able to sync that up with their life, right? I don't need them to be an entrepreneur. I don't need them to be anything like me. Mm-hmm. All I want them is what gives them joy, and how can they relate that to a career? Because I've had that, and so my one son, he's into biofuels. He wants to, buy all these fields in Iowa and grow crops that people don't eat anyway, and then use that for fuel for cars and motorcycles and lawnmowers. And that when he talks about it, his eyes light up. So I'm if you go do that, then I would be very happy with that, So finding that joy and turning it into a career, that would make me very happy for my kids.
I love that. I love that term, makes his eyes light up.
Yeah.
So what are you working on now?
Well, so as I went into COVID, my main business was a local networking group here in Rochester, called Avanti, which means move forward in Italian. And we would meet once a month, and the first half, beer, wine, hors d'oeuvres, networking. Second half, I bring in a really great speaker. And we built it up to about 100 members locally. We started expanding through licensing to different cities. Mm-hmm. And then COVID came, and, in-person events really weren't happening. Mm-hmm. We went online, but it was really hard to sign up new people, and people were showing up less and less to the Zoom events because I think they were getting zoomed out. Mm-hmm. So we kind of put it on hold, but I'm reinventing. And I had this idea because I was using LinkedIn a couple months ago, and it was really frustrating because I get 20 messages a day from people in India that want to do my website. All these notifications I have that have nothing to do with me that I get, and sometimes something good happens on LinkedIn, like when someone from San Diego wishes me a happy birthday, and I say, hey, you should be on my podcast. So that works out then. But I wanted more of that, obviously I'll tell your listeners and viewers that was you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. That was a meaningful connection. And I think that's what people want from LinkedIn, but it's happening less and less. So I thought I would love to create a truly meaningful kind of boutique LinkedIn, a boutique network of high achieving entrepreneurs that really want to truly connect, like a dating app, but not dating, but with business needs. And then also offer some other resources like classes, like masterminds, like community, micro communities of related industries, et cetera. And so I was talking about the whole idea to a friend of mine, and she goes, oh, I love the name. I'm like, I don't even have a name yet. She goes, oh, you said Utopia 3 times. So I thought the name was Utopia, but I was just describing it. So I said, well, I guess that's the name. And what I did to make it a little bit more unique is I changed it to YOU, so Utopia. Mm-hmm. And so we're building it. It's going to be utopianetwork.com. The cool thing is I haven't even built it, right? We have no algorithm yet. We don't even have a website yet. Our logo just got done 2 days ago, which I love. And but I've already signed up 20 people at $2,500 a year. So people are amazing. Yeah, they're investing in me, the belief that I'm going to bring them value.
Well, there's definitely a market for someone to come in and start the next professional networking site.
Yep, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, and then I do have we're all supposed to have like a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And so while the core of it will be globally online, I would love to, once COVID goes away, is certainly have an annual in-person event.
Yeah.
And the vision is, this is in my head, it's like a Woodstock meets business event, like 3 days of great speakers, maybe in Colorado, Red Rocks. And it's just like this peace, love, and let's make money fest,
Yeah, that's cool.
Peace, love, and profits.
I like the vision.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you'll come.
Yeah. Sounds fun. Let me know the date. And actually, I think you need to do it in Valle de Guadalupe down in Baja.
That would be an amazing idea. We could do an international event every year.
A lot of really great spaces for it.
Yeah. All right. I like that idea.
So, what else? You've done so many interviews on the Gonzo experience. What have you learned through interviewing so many bright people?
Oh, so many things. I've learned, I've learned that there's a common thread with all of my guests, and that they have big hearts, right? They're really kind. I want to say they're heart-centered entrepreneurs. They're just really, at the end of the day, they truly love helping people. And yeah, they're going to get paid for it. They're going to get paid for the value that they bring. But they're like, I had Grant Cardone on my podcast. He has a reputation of being this obnoxious, loud, crass guy. And I braced myself. Like, I somehow landed him as a guest. And I rarely get nervous, but I was like, oh my God, this guy is, bull in a china shop on steroids. Right. And I thought, he's going to let me have it and challenge me with, like when I ask him something, like I was ready to get yelled at a little bit and banged up a little bit, but this interview amazed me because, because I was told by his assistant, you have a half an hour, you have to ask these questions and like all these. Oh. And before the interview, I said, all right, Grant, I understand we have half an hour and you want me to ask you about this, this, and this. And he was like, don't worry about it, Dave. You're doing me a favor. Take as long as you want. And he's like, no, you don't have to ask me that stuff. Ask me whatever you want. And he was just like the chill, like, but powerful, helpful guy. And you could tell he's a really good person. And that came out on the podcast. So I've learned that, at the end of the day, everybody is just a person. And it's, if they're truly successful long-term, they're most likely a really good heart-centered person,
That's cool. Okay. So Crash and Learn, what, any reasons we should go out and buy that book? What's the one thing it's going to help someone with?
Well, it's going to help somebody if they're having a tough time, if they're feeling like, oh my God, I'm about to go off the cliff and lose it all. Or maybe they have. All these stories there's 10 entrepreneurs, me being one of them, that write a chapter. And it's all about like an entrepreneur that was riding high, poop didn't stink, everything was great, and then crashed, lost it all maybe, or most of it. But instead of crashing and burning, we learned, we kept on moving forward, and we rose like the phoenix to thrive again.
Really powerful. I didn't realize it was 10 different stories. Cool. I'll have to take a look
at that. Yeah.
Okay, final question. What brings you joy?
Speaking. I used to do stand-up comedy in my 20s, just for fun. Actually moved to Chicago for a while to maybe take it seriously, but I moved back, and then I stopped it for a while. But I've always done speaking, and I always bring some humor in my speaking. But last year I thought that it would be really fun if I did stand-up comedy again, but kind of mix it with business, So kind of like
that's a great idea.
So I did it. I called the local comedy club. And I said, I got this idea. We'll do it like on a Wednesday night, which is kind of an off night, but it's just like, it'll be like a Tony Robbins and Jerry Seinfeld have a baby named Dave Mammano type of talk. Right. And mixing my business experience with humor. And so we did it. I did it. And I brought, 200 people showed up, on a Wednesday night during a pandemic. And, and I was told that I killed it. I mean, I felt in my zone, and it was probably the happiest.
Where is the video footage from this?
Oh, I have it. I'll have it. I'll send it to you.
Send it to me. Definitely.
I will send it to you.
Cool. Actually, I lied. I have another person. So Mammano is a great last name. Why is that not the name of any of your companies?
It's funny you say that. I just started for the company, the holding company for Utopia is Mammano Ventures.
Okay.
So
Cool.
I just did it. Yeah. But thank you. You actually, thinking of, it's funny you say that you like my last name, because thinking of you and what you do with moms, literally in Italian, it means the hand of a mother. Mammano. Mammano. And what a Mammano was back in the day, they were midwives. So the hand of the mother.
Wow, what a tie-in.
So I come from a line of midwives. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, then it's very appropriate to have you on today's show.
Great question. Great. I've never been asked that. So great question.
What's the best way for people to find you, get in touch with you?
Website is davidmammano.com.
Okay.
And they can email me, david@davidmammano.com.
Awesome.
And, I give up myself, 585-317-8254. Happy to talk or text and help any people in the Aimee tribe.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. For more, please visit www.monsomaternity.com.